All right, I think we'll just go ahead and get started here just because there's a lot of senators that want to leave here too. I'm sure you guys do too. So, ladies and gentlemen of the press, and Montana's watching at home. So the 69th legislative session has come to a close, and it's been an extraordinary session in the most literal sense of the word, and that is far from ordinary. We've learned a lot over the last several months, for better or for worse. We do have a lot of accomplishments. I think the Senate, despite a lot of adversity, has really risen to the occasion. We've handled more bills this session than any session before following our constitutional convention. We had tax relief, Senate Bill 117 by Senator Zolikoff. Senator Zolikoff, good job. It takes newly taxable and adds that in to give, I think, long-term reform for property tax as we move forward. Senate Bill, or House Bill 337, which cuts everybody's income tax by Speaker Lear. Biggest income tax reduction in Montana's history. We had Senate Bill 177 on education for Community Choice School Commission and clarify the charter schools laws. On House Bill 28, we fund career and technical education in middle schools, and House Bill 357, bolster suicide prevention efforts in schools, Senate Bill 369, and we strengthened background checks for people who work with children in House Bill 745. Housing. Housing more than ever is popular in Montana because we are the state that everybody has found out. Last session we did the Montana Miracle, and this session we stacked on top of that. We passed legislation requiring counties to allow at least one accessory dwelling unit, ADU, on a single family lot. That was Senate Bill 532. We also passed bills restricting excessive parking mandates, which will allow for more housing, in House Bill 492. We moved red tape for stairwell requirements from apartment buildings from Senate Bill 213, and restrict unnecessary building heights in Senate Bill 243. And in some, we have encouraged more development, more housing, quickly and at lower costs here with our Montana housing crisis. Business and labor and economy. We passed legislation to support apprenticeship programs in House Bill 336, bolster ammunition manufacturing, House Bill 329, which I personally like that one, revise the unemployment system to improve program integrity and efficiency in House Bill 210, combination of tax relief making it easier for hardworking Montanans to earn and keep their money. We have a state budget. I'm going to turn that over to our Chair of Finance and Claims. State budget, there were a few bright points, but you can also talk about the work that needs to be done with our state budget. So, Senator Glimm.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, we did a lot of good things. We also left some work that needs to be done. The legislature is mandated that we're supposed to have a balanced budget. We didn't do that work. We left that work up to the governor on the second floor. He's going to have to veto his way to a balanced budget, and that's disappointing to me. We should have done better work. We should have had a working Senate Finance and Claims Committee, which we did not, and that happened on day one. When that committee got hijacked, basically, by the Nine and the Democrats, and they added extra members to that committee. And throughout the session, it became clearly evident that when we were trying to take votes in there, we were not paying attention to our job of balancing the budget. Everything came out of that committee, and that was disappointing. And what that left us with was a status sheet that doesn't balance. And that's not what Montanans send us here to do. That's not what our Constitution says we must do. And so we leave that up to the governor. And that now is fully in his hands. He has to veto his way to a balanced budget. I encourage him to do that, and he's going to have to, because we have left that work undone as the legislature. It's disappointing to me, but that's what we have left. Thank you.
We also passed Montana values. Montana's really sent us here to represent themselves in government, including representing their values, which we passed legislation this session to keep men out of women's sports, House Bill 300, as well as to keep men out of women's locker rooms, restrooms, and sleeping quarters, and that was House Bill 121. We also passed legislation that I can't believe we did, but it defined male and female in state law. That was Senate Bill 437. We also protected free speech in school and state government, House Bill 400, and safeguarded the right to pregnancy centers to promote life, and that's House Bill 388. We also did have some wins in the criminal justice and public safety, and for that I will turn it over to the Majority Leader, McGilvery.
Thank you, Mr. President. So as you all know and have tracked quite effectively, without too much cost, our Judicial Select Committee bills. I think we initially started out with 27. I don't know, you may know the count better than I do, but there may be 6 or 7 left that actually are going to the governor and for signature. But I would have to say this, that what we do have is a great foundation for moving forward. I think that judicial reform is critical continuously. It's important for judges to have accountability. It's important for there to be transparency. And what we did this session helps start that process. Senator Hertz had a bill that will open up MSC deliberations after the final case is complete. That's going to provide more transparency to the process. I had a bill, SB 45, that now the governor has it, he'll sign, that started the Judicial Performance Evaluation Commission. So we're able to hold judges accountable to the public, have their performance available to the public. As you all know, when it comes to voting for judges, it's very difficult to know who they are, what their track record is, and how they have ruled from the bench. This bill will again provide transparency for that. Senator Emmerich, SB 41, requires substitution of district judges to be random. That was an important bill for us this session so that judges aren't handpicking their successor to as that case is being moved on. It's random, and we think that's important. Senator Glim also allows citizens to share their complaint about a JSC member without being muzzled. Again, that's a transparency bill, and we think that's very important as well. We had other judicial reform bills that were not on our list that passed also, that dealt with injunction relief and so forth. So I think we had a good session on judicial reform, and we're undaunted in our efforts to continue that, and we'll do so next session. I'd also like to say regarding public safety, we did one-time only funding for 513 beds at the Montana State Prison, and I think that's very important as we try to make more room in county facilities. Excuse me. As we make more room in county facilities so that criminals are not left on the streets doing their evil deeds. And also we appropriated money for 200 women's beds. So all these bills will enhance public safety and bring transparency to the courts and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Majority Leader. We also, safeguarding the integrity of local, state, and federal elections is the utmost concern for our constituents, and I know we delivered and moved the needle on that. I don't know if Senator Cuff or Senator Manziel wants to just speak real quick on that.
Election integrity is of utmost importance to our citizens, and they made that clear over and over again. And Senator Cuff had a great bill changing the way the process works and the counting of the ballots and timing on late registration. As you might recall, in Gallatin County, our polls were open till 4 a.m. We're trying to address that issue to make it a little bit more humane and realistic for our citizens. Collecting the data, I passed a bill that will require consistency throughout our 56 counties to provide consistent data to the Secretary of State and then to provide it to the legislature, because it is ultimately the legislature that is tasked with safeguarding and the purity of the process. So we had several good election integrity bills, and we definitely move the needle on that. So we're thankful for that opportunity.
Thank you, Senator Manzella. We also had the Hill versus Montana, if you guys remember the Climate Kids case, which we can go into how that judge really played the House, the Senate, and the governor all in one courtroom hearing. But we passed Senate Bill 221, which reaffirms the legislature's authority over environmental reviews under the MEPA Act. We also passed House Bill 285, which reinforces MEPA in its procedural guide instead of a regulatory tool. Also, House Bill 270, which excludes greenhouse gas emissions from reviews unless federally required. House Bill 291, which limits the authority of DEQ and local governments to adopt stricter standards than the federal requirements, and House Bill 466, which allows for categorical exclusions. So hopefully that will keep Montana businesses going in spite of an activist judge. With that, I'd like to turn it over. I know we did, property tax was a big topic. It was a big topic for our constituents coming in. We heard it at the doors. It was a big problem for myself as I paid them out. Property tax is a big problem here in Montana without a sales tax. But I will turn it over to Senator Hertz, maybe to give us the good and the bad of the tax situation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, we did have some wins on taxes, obviously income taxes. We cut down the top rate and the middle class rate and provided earned income tax credit for low-income individuals. And we did that all with very little help, if any, from the minority. And so that's going to provide relief. And we also passed some other good tax bills. Senate Bill 117, we put some caps going forward on local government expenditures, and hopefully we can improve on that going forward. We did miss our opportunity, so to give voters more control over their local property taxes, whether it was looking at levies every 10 years, increasing voter turnout for mill levies, and unfortunately those failed here, much with the opposition of the Democrat Party pushing back on those. When it comes to property tax relief, unfortunately all we did was just rearrange who's paying property taxes in the state of Montana. We will be benefiting Montana residential full-time taxpayers. It's about 250 to 300,000 of those, but at the same time we increase taxes on probably 500,000 other property taxpayers in the state of Montana. So when it comes to property tax and income tax and all taxes in Montana, we have to be very balanced in what we're doing. And unfortunately, Montana now has the most complicated property tax system in the United States. That will discourage new businesses from coming to Montana or expanding in Montana. And if you don't have a job, a good paying job, it really doesn't matter how high your property taxes are, because if you don't have the resources to pay those, it will make it very difficult. So hopefully when we come back here again in 2027, we can relook at this experimental property tax that we just put in and see if we can make further improvements on that. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hertz. So with that, returning home. As we return home to our family and friends and constituents, I know there's plenty to talk about regarding our time here at the Capitol in this session. And yes, there was drama, for sure. But in the meantime, we passed numerous bills, as we just talked about, and we didn't even start to touch. Did I miss anybody? Does anybody want to hop up? And no, I think. Oh, Pro Tem Wagner. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Has been a leader around the country in tech and tech privacy. So I think it's good we mention those things. The way we move the ball forward here in Montana. We're proud to pass some groundbreaking bills like Senate Bill 163, which safeguards data collected by neurotechnology, including literal thoughts. This may sound sci-fi, but it is actually happening, and the technology is being worked on. And I want to thank Senator Zolnikov for his hard work on that and getting ahead of things in terms of this technology. Usually government is reactive, and the senator is very proactive on that. We passed Senate Bill 410, which protects genomic data from adversaries like China and Russia, and Senate Bill 364, which prevents companies from shutting off their electronic devices using kill switches. We're not just protecting Montanans amid technological advancements, but also making sure that our state is open to the benefits of cutting-edge innovations. We passed the Right to Compute Act, Senate Bill 212, which is a first-of-its-kind bill that protects the right to own and use computing tools, as well as the Financial Freedom and Innovation Act, that is Senate Bill 265, which prevents restrictions on the use of digital assets in Montana. Again, very cutting edge. We're letting Montanans prosper from the best technological advancements while protecting residents from its adverse impacts. And before I turn it back over to the President, I do want to talk about what we did for veterans in the state. As a veteran myself, and Montana having one of the top 2 per capita rates of military veterans, we're committed as a legislature to supporting our veterans and active duty service members. We passed legislation this session to give troops flexibility in completing schoolwork alongside their training. That's House Bill 553. Fund veteran suicide prevention efforts, Senate Bill 95. Senator Yakowicz right there, great work on that. And then we provided greater financial relief to Montana military veterans and personnel and their families by revising the state income tax exemption for military pensions, retirement, and survivor benefits. That was Senate Bill 93 from Senator Fuller. Really good work on those 2 fronts, tech and tech privacy and veterans. We're really proud of our work during this session. So, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Pro Tem Buckner. So as you can see, we have a long list of bills, and that doesn't even even start to touch the list of accomplishments that the Senate Republicans have done for the people of Montana this session. So there are many reasons for Senate Republicans to hold their heads high coming out of this session. And we will look forward to continuing our efforts through the interim and also into next session. There's always going to be plenty of work to do for the people of Montana, and we're glad that this session is over, and we look forward to getting on to the future. And I will just touch base on that. I do believe the voters sent the Republican Party here to be in control, and from day one it was not. And I don't see that sustainable. I think that in the future, the voters are going to speak their mind. I love it's Article 2 of our Montana Constitution that states all political power is vested in and derived from the people. The people sent the Republicans here to be in control, and I don't believe the people will stand for another session where the Democrat minority leader and his caucus controls the Senate. So with that, I think our future is bright. I think the voters will stand up, and I am looking forward to a great 70th legislative session.